So, guys, how are you feeling about them oral arguments?
You know, I don't normally say this, but like high key, they were pretty interesting.
Yeah, I could tell by the lack of intensity in your snoring.
Guys, just shut up. This is serious. I have to go embarrass my clerks at hot yoga. So let's hurry this up already.
Okay. I think we already know how to vote. Let's side with the plaintiff. I need a beer.
Guys, we're literally a court with integrity. Some might even go as far to say we must adhere to a thing called the integrity of the court. We need to discuss and figure out how to vote.
Okay, let me recap the arguments for those of you who are either intoxicated or asleep. Today, they discuss the merits of a race-based affirmative action at UNC because the plaintiff felt that they should have been let in, but they weren't because of their race.
I don't know about you guys, but I for sure heard some good arguments from the plaintiff side. Agreed. Like, which was it? The 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 uh, the argument about racial stigma. Yeah, definitely that one.
If I remember correctly, they were saying that students of color will either feel like they don't deserve what they've gotten or they will not get the recognition that they deserve from their peers.
But what does this have to do with the Constitution?
This is a gray area, but it is important to consider the well-being of all our country's students and other citizens.
You call that the well-being of our citizens? What about, say, all the minority students who feel isolated as their peers drop out or are rejected when their values and backgrounds don't align with all the perfect American college student? Really? What about minorities and underprivileged ethnicities as a whole? Do you really think permitting higher education to become dominated by white and Asian American students will somehow be worse for America's racial divide than rejecting a few qualified applicants?
Wait, hold up. I am the only one here with experience on the matter, and I say that the plaintiff is correct. Schools should not let applicants in based on their race, and the best black students will be let in anyways.
Thomas, that was a real nice declaration. Welcome to the present. We're running a real nation here, however. We know that you were able to work your way through the system, but in order to make the campus a safe and welcoming place for all groups, studies about critical mass diversity have shown that having a campus with minority students well represented encourages the success of other minority students.
Look, there are a ton of benefits to having more diverse campuses, and we need to encourage the success of all students so that some of these achievement gap issues may not be as prevalent in the future.
Guys, Thomas is right. Critical mass diversity is dumb. People can succeed on their own. The framers wouldn't have cared about people getting coddled. They wanted the best and brightest. That is why they didn't care about affirmative action this much.
We just need some race-neutral policies. Everyone deserves a chance, and the test scores and grades should be enough to determine who would actually succeed in colleges. I mean, if we really care about giving everyone a chance, equal opportunity and stuff, why would we let a black kid into college just because he's black? Why wouldn't we instead look at the actual challenges and adversity and whatnot he's faced in his life? That's normally what you guys care about for different treatments for different races, right?
Well, not exactly. Even if you're coming from similar backgrounds as your peers, race really matters. Studies have shown that even if you go to the same schools or have the same income level, teachers treat you differently and worse if you're a student coming from a black or Hispanic household. Teachers encourage students more if they believe that they can succeed in a certain subject. And that almost always benefits white or Asian students. People have more faith in people who seem like they would fit a traditional role. In audit studies where people are told to choose between theoretical employees with the same qualifications, they almost always chose the employees without traditionally African American names. This shows us that we can't necessarily take their recommendation scores or grades at face value. We need to allow schools to account for race within these metrics as they see fit.
Yeah, right. I mean, what freaking studies? Are you really gonna tell me that these so called academics don't just throw away null results, dredge their data in every way possible, and cherry pick only for results that confirm their hypothesis? I mean, how are you going to go against all common sense and agree with something that is telling us that American business owners are so illogical as to just give up profit because they are so called racists? Why? Why would they not hire a more qualified applicant just because his name is traditionally African American? That doesn't make sense.
All right, everyone calm down. We got to ask ourselves the question: are we willing to let the lives of better students be damaged by not admitting them to the most competitive schools? I'm not sure if that's a risk we can take for the sake of the students.
Boys. What are we even doing? Let's bring this back to the Constitution. What we are meant to be interpreting here. Right, of course, O notorious one. Servants, bring out the Holy Scriptures.
But oh, ye mighty ones, which scriptures do ye desire? The 14th Amendment, you buffoons!
All right. Here it is. Amendment 14, Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state with which they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the law. Shall I continue?
Dear God, no, please. I think we have what we need. By permitting the University of North Carolina to use their affirmative action system, is the state denying citizens equal protection under law? Let's take it to a vote.
No. I believe that public universities should be allowed to use race as a factor in evaluating their applicants because it is useful and a necessary tool to improve diversity in schools, a factor that works in everybody's benefit.
I vote yes. In my opinion, the harm that is done to unfairly rejected applicants, the bitterness the unequal process promotes in whites and Asian Americans, and the stigma it fosters for minorities far outweigh any theoretical benefit from having more artificial diversity.
No, because race itself, even when accounting for all other factors, has a significant effect on this adversity and discrimination a student will face. There are no real alternative systems that properly account for adversity without considering race. Therefore, we need to let schools make the decision as to how much they would like to consider race as a factor.
I vote yay. In my opinion, the frequent use of race as a super factor that frequently decides admissions clearly violates students' rights to equal protection. In this case, the protection against discrimination based on race in college admissions. And that is a clear violation of the Constitution.
No. In this particular instance, the school is not assigning a point value or any type of system that gives students of color a distinct benefit. And given that it's just part of the holistic admissions process, it does not infringe upon the rights given to citizens in the 14th Amendment.
I vote yay. The artificial use of race as a qualification for a job or a spot in university doesn't make sense. The best way to support our students will be to have the smartest ones on campus, because that's how they'll learn the best. This will be more helpful to all students, and maybe more helpful to the smart Black and Hispanic students, because they'll have peers of similar intelligence to themselves. I vote no. I would say that the Constitution quite simply does not provide enough substance on the matter. And so, to take authority over the states in claiming that using race as a factor in college admissions is unconstitutional would be a position entirely unsupported by a close reading of the 14th Amendment, even when considering it as a living document.
I vote yes. The only fair American solution is for students to be let in based on merit alone. We cannot afford to allow students, regardless of their race, to lose their rights to an equal shot at a good college just to promote useless, artificial diversity.
After hearing those final arguments, would anyone like to change their votes?
I do not. Fuck no.
No,
No.
I don't think I would.
No.
Absolutely not.
White students should not be discriminated against, and I don't think that the affirmative action systems are fair. Indeed, the harms and dangers of affirmative action programs far outweigh the benefits, and as such, prohibiting these programs would be a service to our nation. However, I do believe that this is not the business of the court to restrict what universities do with their admissions practices, and stopping this may be overreaching by the court. And I'd be worried about similar cases in the future. Given my indecision, I'm going to decide randomly. Heads, UNC has acted unconstitutionally, therefore stopping affirmative action. Tails says they have been constitutional and that colleges are allowed to evaluate students based on their race.